former Conservative Member of Parliament for Bolton North East, 2019 to 24, who suddenly announced he was resigning just 37 days ago, joining the Labour Party as the campaign got underway. Hello to you. Good to see you, Mark. Now, you were watching the minutes at 10 o'clock, the big reveal. Was the red side of you delighted, the blue side devastated? What went through your mind?
Well, I think it was a long time coming, because I was a Conservative MP. I was elected in 2019 as one of the 80-seat majority that Boris Johnson won in that election. But it became very apparent to me at that time, as a backbench MP and then as a more junior second-bench member of Parliament in the UK, that there was too much politics happening within the Conservative Party and not enough actual governing or delivery. So, I mean, if you ask, whenever the exit poll came out, was I surprised? I wasn't surprised. I mean, it's still shocking in the sense that you go from Conservatives having an 80-seat majority to the Labour Party almost touching up towards a couple of 100 seats majority. So that swing is huge. It's still a bit shocking, but not necessarily surprising.
Mark, I can tell you're a politician. You just reframed my question. Didn't say surprised. I said, were you upset or delighted, given that you party started off as a Conservative, you switched to Labour, you didn't stand in the election. You know, what were you feeling?
So I felt a mixture of excitement and I felt relieved. Actually, was the two emotions I was experiencing. I didn't feel a fear of missing out. So the fact I wasn't standing didn't make me feel, gosh, I'm missing something here. It's a tough job. It's a great job to do, a very honourable one, but a very tough period of time we're in, not just UK, but across Western countries when it comes to political and also economic considerations. But I do feel excited, because I do feel right now what your fellow journalist was saying is that Keir Starmer is going to bring lots of competence. He's got great values. He's brought a great team around him. We've just mentioned Mr. Timpson, who's going to be heading up the prison reforms for government. He's an outside hire. This doesn't happen very, very often to come in to do this job. And Timpson's a very interesting business model where a lot of the employees actually within Timpson have in previous life spent time in prison, say, for example. So this is going to be a real fresh injection. And along with people like Patrick Vallance, he was the chief scientific advisor during COVID-19. He's coming in as a science minister. And also we've got a new Attorney General coming in as well from the outside. So this is going to be a really interesting time in UK politics.
Where do you consider yourself then, given that you switched to Labour, you didn't stand? I mean, here in France, would you consider yourself a Macronist within the centre? Where are you? Would you be in the Ensemble Party? What's your political leaning?
Well, I'd have to say I'm a Starmerist now. So wherever the kind of Starmerist fits on the French political spectrum, but it's probably in and around that neck of the woods. And I do know that President Macron in the last 24 hours has sent a message of congratulations to Keir Starmer and has mentioned things like AI, for example, and the cooperation that we're going to have to do. And I think it's very important because the UK electorate has voted for change. They wanted to see a new government, new Prime Minister, new cabinet. But I think what's more important is actually delivering that change. We must deliver, because that was something the Conservatives for a very long time wasn't doing, was delivering. And I think we've seen that trend across many Western societies where delivering doesn't happen. This is where you have the rise of populism. You've had, cost increases, inflation increases. People become disaffected by their political system. So this is really democracy's next on the line, and we have to deliver to make it work.
So, Mark, new day, new dawn, raw honesty was a catchphrase from Keir Starmer. Let me bring in Benedict at this point. I know Benedict would be keen to chat with you as well. Benedict.
So, thank you, Gavin. Mr. Logan, raw honesty. So, raw honesty, please, here. Yes, it's a landslide victory for this Labour government and this Labour Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. But the fact of the matter is that the vote share was not as high, clearly, as Labour had wanted or expected. How long do you think he has, here comes the raw honesty, of a honeymoon period?
But you know what? I don't think anyone in this day and age in politics should rely on honeymoon periods. Because I even remember, like, a couple of years back when Liz Truss came in, and I wrote an article at the time in the South China Morning Post, and I talked about how she might have a honeymoon period of a few months, and it only lasted a few days, her honeymoon period. So I wouldn't rest on the laurels, and I think you've seen that from Keir Starmer. He's gone in, he's cancelled the Rwanda policy, he's already taking big steps, as I've said, for hiring excellence outside of the cabinet. So I don't think the honeymoon period will last very long. I think delivering is important. And to your point about low turnouts, which we've seen in quite a lot of constituencies across the country, I do think it's because people have felt disaffected with democracy. They think nothing will change. They think, every party is the same. I got that a lot as a politician when I was knocking on doors, not just this campaign, but in most recent political campaigns across the UK. So it is a time for us to deliver. I think less fancy propaganda and more about actually impacting people's lives.
Mark, very briefly, what next for you? Is that it in politics? You done?
Well, I think in the short term, I'll be taking a rest, a bit of decompression from politics. But in the medium to long term, I definitely wouldn't rule it out.
OK, Mark Logan and Benedict Pavio, great to speak to you both. Benedict, chat with you later. Now, voting